So many fighting games have been released on the PlayStation, many of which are considered to be among some of the greatest ever in existence, while the system does have quite a selection of in-between and not so good titles. But there truly is something for everybody. In 1997, Versus was released on the console and was developed by Polygon Magic. This developer would later go on to develop the survival horror game known as Galerians in 1999. And Versus is a 3D polygonal based fighter that gives players access to 20 different characters to use from. But the game, while it's all 3D in terms of its environments and characters, still plays from a two-dimensional perspective, similar to old school brawlers and fighting games of the past. This game also utilises the same engine as another fighting game known as Fighter's Impact that was originally released only in Japan, with very similar gameplay mechanics, animations and similar elements. And the one thing that I just want to get out of the way with this game is that it's a very tough fighting game to master. It is extremely tough, in fact. So much so that the game was met with underwhelming responses, with reviewers being very critical to some of the game's misfortunes and stumbling blocks, and did in many ways consider it a competent fighting game. Like, it does have some nice features and it does have some really good movesets if you can master the combos. But unfortunately, what really led to the game's demise in many ways was its release, as it came out not too long after the likes of Tekken 2, Soul Blade and even Fighters Megamix, among a few other mainstream fighting games that hit massive heights of success within the games industry. And the problem is that they set the bar so high that everything else that came out in and around it or after it had big shoes to fill in many ways, and many of the games just couldn't compete in that respect. Because for many players at the time, with all of these additional fighting games and other categories coming out, they would often be thinking themselves, why would I spend the money on this game when I can just go and buy Tekken or Soul Blade, as they are better games. So it left a lot of these games to fall under the radar, which is a pity in many regards. And this game is no different. It does have some nice features and it does have some really cool gameplay aesthetics and fighting moves, combos and special abilities, but the overall difficulty of the game can throw a lot of players off. Now, it does give you access to practice mode so that you can get used to the fighting styles and the controls and get used to the different combo moves used, as many of the characters use fighting styles similar to the likes of karate, aikido and kung fu. So that in itself is a nice touch. And you play in different environments, mainly industrial type environments, like with streets, alleyways, very run down areas, nightclubs. Pretty much you're fighting on the streets the whole time. That's the type of aesthetic that the game was trying to go for, and it does do that very well. That's one thing I will admit about the game, is it captures that element and that atmosphere quite decently. And it does have some additional features with various options and even some mini games with the loading screens. You will have some puzzles that you can solve to add to the dynamic of the experience. But it does have some issues with regards to its level of difficulty, because the pick up and play appeal of this wouldn't have the same entry level value compared to other fighting games, so it is tougher the more you get into it. So for the casual player, will find this a struggle at times. But it's not to say that it's the worst fighting game on the system, it's far from it. It does have a unique mix of styles. It just, like I said, the game came out at a time when there were far better fighters on the system, but it's still interesting to try out, just to experience all of the unique aspects of it, whether they're good or bad. If you're into fighting games and you want to try something a wee bit different, and just to experience all of these unique concepts from very rare games that very few know about, this is another one that you could try out. But I would love to know your thoughts of this game, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of it overall? Or what other fighting games that are like this that you haven't played that you would be interested in playing? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of fighting games similar to this that were also released on the PlayStation, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.